I know this looks like dead sticks, but would you believe that in a few weeks, maybe a month, it's going to be blooming just like the tree behind me? And in a couple of years, it's going to be covered in pounds of delicious fruit. This is a bare root fruit tree. A few weeks ago, it was growing in a nursery in California's Central Valley. That's the epicenter for new breeds of deciduous fruit trees, like apples and pears, as well as stone fruits like peaches, plums, and apricots. The fruit you buy in the market come from commercial farmers who grow these trees. So do the fruit trees you plant in your backyard. And you'll be surprised how breeders and growers are putting a new twist on old favorites that can grow and thrive in nearly every region and climate. How does a stick like this come to produce pounds and pounds of fruit? We're heading to California's Central Valley to get to the root of breeding and growing deciduous fruit trees. Today on A Growing Passion. Between backyard growers and commercial orchards, California's fruit and nut trees are a $500 million industry. It's also a hotbed of innovation as breeders create new varieties that were once unimaginable. In the late 1800s, breeder and horticulturist Luther Burbank made the first successful plum-apricot cross. He called it a plumcot. In the 1980s, breeder Floyd Zager followed Burbank's lead by introducing his own plum-apricot hybrids that he called pluots. Since then, Zager's groundbreaking work has revolutionized the world of stone fruits. Over the last 4 decades, Zager Genetics in Modesto have built a reputation crossing peaches, cherries, nectarines, and plums to create apriums, nectoplums, and plueries. They also bred white apricots, flat peaches, fuzzy plums, and many other varieties of stone fruit. Natural crosses between these species have been around forever. Intentional crosses done by Zager Genetics are basically human hands directing and accelerating the hand of nature. We are in the lab at Zager Genetics, and this is where it all begins. When they're developing a new kind of stone fruit, they take the stone out of the fruit, they open it up, and they pull out the little nut. It's actually an embryo. That embryo goes into the test tube on this nutrient-rich agar, where it develops a root and a shoot, and this is a future fruit tree. Leith Gardner is Floyd Zager's daughter. She and the rest of the Zager family continue their father's work, using breeding methods he developed to make interspecific crosses.
These containers are the mother stock or the seed parents for our hand pollination and developing new varieties. We put them in containers because the spring weather can be very rainy. In this way, we bring them into the greenhouse, we control the temperature and the humidity. So when we do our hand pollination, we don't lose a season and everything works out well, and we get more seeds and we can make wider crosses that way.
So Zager is a very well-known company in the fruit breeding world. It seems to me that Zager has created a whole lot of interspecific varieties that I'm always amazed when I see a cross between a plum and a cherry or things like that. Mm-hmm. I almost always trace it back to you guys.
Well, we've done a lot of crossing back and forth. We've used what's found in nature if you're there to look for it. Plum cots and things like that have occurred in nature for hundreds of years. And we use those as bridges to go from one species to another.
The Zager's careful hand pollination methods produce more than 50,000 brand new hybrids every year. Each is evaluated as it matures. Of those 50,000, maybe 500 will show enough promise to move on in the process. Many get grafted onto a rootstock, sometimes 4 or 5 different kinds of fruit grafted onto a single tree. The Zagers monitor each one for another 10 to 12 years. Ultimately, just 5 or 6 of those varieties make it to market, and the same process happens every year. As part of that long evaluation, Zager Genetics hosts a tasting tour every Wednesday throughout the summer. That's when the fruits are ripe, and fruit professionals from around the world come to taste and evaluate the new crosses. Their input and feedback help determine which eventually make it to market.
Oh, delicious. It's always flavor first. We sell fruit all over the world, all over the country. Asia, China market's opening up real big now. We sell a lot of fruit around the world.
That's fairly high.
Today's group represents many facets of the fruit industry, from commercial fruit producers to those who grow fruit trees for retail nurseries. There are fruit packers and fruit marketers too. Each one looks for something different.
I'm a technical guy work for a wholesale fruit company, so we have a group of growers that I give assistance to out in the paddock.
So you're looking at these for commercial growing?
Well, I probably wouldn't look at canning fruit because it's on the way out in Australia, but certainly the fresh fruit we have a look at because we're trying to start an export program into China.
I'm looking specifically for what can be grown under backyard conditions that can be harvested tree ripe.
Fruits are evaluated for sugars, what they call bricks, and also for taste, texture, firmness, and beauty. All are important characteristics for successful fruit, and each one has a unique flavor never tasted before.
And after the last one.
Okay, this is a yellow one, so I should like it.
Yeah. First bricks that came?
That's a good peach, or something like a peach. This is both the past and the future of fruit. So, any guess, 1, 2 of the trees that you see this year might end up in your inventory in a couple of years from now?
Absolutely. We looked at the one cherry plum today, and this is a great season for cherry plum because there are very few that are ripe this late in the season. And it was a very high bricks. It was a 28 bricks. It was a delicious piece of fruit. I think that's a potential for the home garden division of Dave Wilson Nursery 5, 6, 7, 8 years in the future.
Dave Wilson Nursery in nearby Hickman, California, has a unique relationship with Zager Genetics. They have the exclusive license to produce and distribute Zager-bred fruit trees in the United States. The nursery produces Zager almond trees, apple trees, and stone fruit trees to supply commercial growers and retail nurseries.
It's a great market, especially since we have a really large offering of low-chill varieties of fruits. Peaches, nectarines, plums, we have cherries that do well in San Diego. We just have a lot of things to offer that a lot of your growers or people, your backyard gardeners, don't realize they can grow.
This 3,000-acre farm produces trees from start to finish. That includes growing and grafting fruit stock to rootstock. Tom Spellman represents Dave Wilson Nursery's Southwest region.
A fruit tree, for the most part, is made up of 2 components. You have a rootstock, which is the motor. It's what the tree is going to survive off of. And then you have the cultivar. The cultivar is the fruiting variety that you've chosen.
Most home growers select a tree for the fruit it produces. Few realize that choosing a tree with the right rootstock is just as important. And rootstocks are not all the same. Tom, these look like little baby almond trees.
Nan, that's exactly what they are. This is an almond hybrid rootstock called Atlas. And we use this to bud production almond varieties on too.
This is not a seedling, right?
No, technically this is not a seedling. This was actually propagated by tissue culture, which means that we just take very small amounts of wood from a parent tree and we're able to multiply that very rapidly.
So these are clones. These are all identical.
Identical clones.
So can I see the next stage?
Oh yeah, let's take a look.
Now, is this the same rootstock that we just looked at?
Nan, this is exactly the same variety we just looked at. It's Atlas, and this is about maybe 90 to 120 days ahead of the little plug that we just looked at.
So just 3 or 4 months and you go from that little tiny wisp to kind of pencil fit.
Exactly.
Okay, you have a number of different rootstocks, not just for almonds, but for everything else. Why is there a variety of rootstocks to choose from for each different kind of fruit?
It's mainly adaptabilities. You know, we're growing so many different rootstocks for one type of tree because we have farmers over a wide geographic range. So one farmer may have a high salinity in their soil. Another farmer may have heavy soil that doesn't drain well. We work with growers with sandy soils. So we're using different rootstocks to cater to the different soil types and geographic ranges in California.
Once they're big enough to graft, the rootstock plants are moved to the fields, where the grafting crews insert a tiny piece of fruit wood into the stem of each rootstock. The little bud gets wrapped in tape, almost like a bandage, while the graft heals. In about 6 weeks, this young tree will be ready to ship to a commercial almond farm.
This is the finished product. This is what we're shipping out to the farmer.
This has bamboo, and then the white tape holds the tree onto the bamboo,
Right. It's
so
just
it's upright?
all we want to do is keep it nice and straight so that we don't have something that's flopping around out in the field. So the stake just orients it into the right direction, and the farmer can plant a nice straight tree.
How many trees do you sell, almond trees, in a year?
Almond trees, our 2018 crop of almonds will probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 million trees.
8 million trees in one season?
Of just almonds.
Almonds are an important crop for Dave Wilson Nursery and for California. 82% of the world's almonds are grown in California's Central Valley, and most of those trees got their start in these fields. Still, deciduous fruit trees are important too. Like with almonds, their fruit wood gets grafted onto different kinds of rootstocks. Tom, what are these little trees?
Nan, these are citation, which is a prunus hybrid rootstock that we use for plum, apricot, interspecifics like pluots and apriums, as well as some peaches and nectarines.
So these will be grafted with those fruits.
These will be tea budded with those varieties within the next few days. The main attribute of citation is it grows well in a heavy, wet soil.
Oh, so if you have clay soils, this would be a good choice.
If you have clay soil, this is your rootstock of choice.
And then how long till they're in the nursery?
It'll be another full season in the ground after this year.
The nursery grows blocks of different fruit trees out in the fields. These are 2-year-old trees that will be this winter's bare root crop.
This is rootstock that was 1 year old last year and budded about this time last year, and this is 1 year's worth of growth back on it.
So these are all deciduous. When it gets cold, they're going to lose their leaves, and then they're going to be ready for bare root harvest?
Absolutely. Late November, we'll come through and pull the irrigation and pull all the stakes. Early December, we'll start digging these out of the ground.
Crews harvest about 5 million 2-year-old bare root fruit trees between November and February to deliver to retail nurseries. They use heavy machinery that literally uproots the trees and shakes the soil off their roots. It looks like toppling dominoes. Workers quickly sort through the trees by variety and by size as they prepare them to be shipped. While Zager Genetics and Dave Wilson Nursery have revolutionized the fruit tree industry, the fundamentals of their science follows Luther Burbank's famous footsteps. Tom, one thing that I know a lot of backyard gardeners are concerned about is GMOs. Do we have to worry about that with any of these fruit trees?
No, absolutely not. To date, there are almost no genetically modified fruit trees on the market. Now, we spent some time at Zager Genetics, but Zagers are really hybridizers. They do things the old-fashioned way.
So that's the hyperspeed. This is nature at hyperspeed.
Exactly. This is nature exaggerated, and 10,000 years worth of development can be done in a decade.
In the laboratory.
In the laboratory.
Often, home growers let fruit trees grow big. But most home gardens are too small for standard-sized trees, and fruit that's out of reach goes to waste. Tom Spellman promotes a practice called backyard orchard culture to grow plenty of fruit in less space.
I don't have a commercial grower's expectation. I don't need 250 or 350 pounds of fruit off of any one given tree. But if I had 4 trees and each one gave me 30 or 40 or 50 pounds of fruit over a successive ripening period, that's exactly what a backyard grower wants.
So we're keeping these small because that makes it easy to get to the fruit.
Second most important concept of backyard orchard culture. I like to be able to reach up and touch the highest branch on the tree so that I can do all my work, my pruning, my thinning, my harvesting. Basically, this is my finished structure. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking to maintain. It's generally a good idea for just for size management that they're all on the same or similar type rootstock, just to keep them growing at about the same pace and about the same rate.
Yeah, so you don't have one that takes over.
Exactly, and that's one of the important concepts is balance. You don't want one variety to grow up to 6 or 7 feet and one to stay at 3 feet. You want to make sure that you're maintaining all varieties in a very similar size fashion.
Oh, that's pretty. It's a cute little thing.
Piece of fruit, nice and juicy.
Ooh, that's good and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'd love to have that in my backyard.
With Tom's lessons in mind, I'm planting my own backyard orchard. In this spot, I used to have one big old pluot tree, but I lost it to termites and fungus and things like that. So in its place, I'm going to put 4 different pluots. I went to the nursery and I chose ones that produce in sequence. So I'm going to have fruit from the beginning of summer to the end. They're all bare root. The nursery wrapped them in a bag with damp sawdust. I brought them home and I can hold them that way a couple of days, but not very long. I dug my hole. I'm ready to plant. The trees, well, the first one is soaking in water to hydrate those roots, ready to go in the ground. I first dig a hole, fill it with water, and let it drain out. That wets all the soil around the hole. Otherwise, the moisture in the roots will wick away and the roots could desiccate. That would kill the tree. Next, I look for the color change along the trunk. That marks the soil line, and it tells me how deep the tree was buried before. I want to plant the tree to that same depth. In the process, I find the graft, which looks like a gnarled knuckle along the trunk. That's where the rootstock and the fruiting wood were grafted together. The graft always stays above the soil line. I add some soil back in the hole so the tree sits at just the right height. I'm not adding any amendments, I'm just replacing the soil I already dug out. I wet that soil as I go along, and I want to make sure the tree is nice and straight. I've created a little moat around the trunk where I'll water while the tree is very young. Next comes the hard part. Using sterilized pruning shears, I cut the main trunk. So I've got to cut the tree back now because I want to keep it between 7 and 8 feet tall, so I've got to really cut off most of this tree. And I want to make sure the way I set this, the branches are going this way because the other trees around it, I don't want this one to run into the others. So I want it between hip and knee. I like all these branches coming out this way. That's why I set them this direction. We're going to cut right here. My goal is to create a framework of strong, low branches as the tree matures. Okay, that's done. Now I've got to trim the side branches back. I also want to space branches so plenty of light reaches the center of the tree. I cut back each branch to just 2 or 3 nodes. The nodes are where the leaves fell off and left a scar. That's where new branches will sprout. So I cut to nodes that point the direction I want those new branches to grow. I put the label back on so I remember what I've planted. Later, I'll draw a map that shows the variety of each tree. Trees in the ground. Next, I'm going to take care of the irrigation. Young trees need regular irrigation to establish. After that, they don't need much water in winter when they're dormant. But from spring through summer, regular watering is essential. The 4 pluot trees going into this space will be on the same irrigation zone as the rest of my deciduous fruit trees. By next year, they'll all be irrigated on the same schedule. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to paint the bark. I know that sounds a little odd, but this tree is now really exposed and the sun can sunburn the bark. So I have this dilute latex paint. It's half water and half paint, and this is like sunscreen for a tree. Often you'll see a citrus orchard or avocado orchard and the trees are all painted white. I had yellow paint, so that's what I'm going to use. The best part of having different types of trees is growing several interesting varieties of fruit instead of just one. I add a thick layer of mulch to hold moisture in the soil. I'll probably add more later. But the first pluot tree is planted. Compact trees with plenty of fruit that's easy to reach. With backyard orchard culture, I can have it all. If you want small trees, you have to take responsibility for controlling their size, especially while the trees are young. The best way to do that is to prune in summer, while leaves are still on the tree. You're not changing the tree's overall structure. Instead, you're doing a light pruning just after harvest, mostly to remove the vigorous, upright water sprouts. That slows the tree's growth and helps keep it small. Winter pruning is a bigger job. This is the time to shape young trees and to renew the fruiting wood on older trees. Winter is also a good time to remove dead and diseased wood. It's when we make room for light to penetrate into the center of the tree so fruit ripens evenly and air circulates to prevent pests and diseases. This is it.
Oh my goodness, Nan.
Oh my gosh, look at that, John. I don't know how many things I could point out that is wrong with this tree. My colleague, John Clements, is great at pruning fruit trees.
Look at this branch. It's resting on top of another.
Yeah, that's really a problem. Today, he and I are working on a tree that's been neglected for a long time. Nobody's worked on this tree in a very long time.
Oh, it's years, maybe a decade even.
So I saw crossing branches, I saw dead wood. What else did you see?
Yeah, it's got multiple trunks, which you shouldn't have. It's got a lot of dead wood, maybe a little borers. It's a panoply of issues with this tree.
This is going to take us a while.
Hours.
Okay, I think we should get started. You ready?
Let's go.
Our arsenal for today.
It's a big job, and we're going to need a lot of tools today, Nan.
Okay, well, let's get started with cleaning, John, because we need to make sure that we don't, whatever we use these tools on last, if there's any problem with them, they don't spread that disease onto anything else. So, you know, what I do usually is I clean my tools and then I lubricate them. Do you do that too?
I do that. I even use lubrication between saw cuts on trees. It makes the saw blade just go a lot more smoothly through the trees.
Pruning a fruit tree, it's not that hard. It takes time, it takes patience, and you gotta know where to cut.
The first thing we probably want to do is begin to take out these branches that are rubbing on other branches or resting on other branches. We want every one to stand on its own. This is another place. I'm not crazy about how downward that is deflecting. So I would use those same Italian double cuts and make a cut right here on that. Just above flush, as we say.
Oh, that's good. I like that. You take that?
So let's get inside the tree and figure out what structures we want to cut away.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna just follow your lead.
All right.
I know a lot of this is just like taking weight out of the tree, right?
It is. We want to lighten the load, and we also want to increase sunlight penetration. You can see in the center of this tree, there's no sunlight.
So it's important to get sunlight into the center of the tree because the leaves in the center are photosynthesizing. We want that to happen, and also the light helps the fruit to ripen.
Exactly right.
It's really important that it's not shaded in the center.
Right, and that may be one of the main reasons this tree hasn't fruited in a long time, is it's just too dense.
By removing the old, dead, and unwanted branches, we can stimulate new growth that will spur flowers that will eventually form fruits.
What we're going to do today is take out wood that we know we absolutely don't want. So for instance, this is very serpentine. It starts here, goes back into the inside of the tree, and it's like a vine that has become hardened. So sometimes what we do is we can only take out today what we know needs to come out. Some pruning we're going to delay for the next 2 and 3 years to restore this tree. This is not going to be finished today.
Well, you don't want to take more than, what, 30% in?
We don't really want to take more than 25 or 30% anyway.
Yeah, so 30% this year, 30% next year, and within a couple of years, it'll be much better shape.
Right. Oh, we're gonna pull some of these straight down through here, Nan, that have been just a big tangled mess. Look at that, right down through the middle. I wanna show you something here. I wanna always try to make cuts in what we call a growth collar, and you can see this sort of a circular area here.
John makes his cuts at the growth collar. That's the swelling at the base of each branch. He cuts the branch parallel, scoring it first from the bottom and then finishing the cut from above, leaving the collar intact so the wound can heal. The cambium will grow back over the cut, keeping out fungal spores and termites and other pests that can damage the tree.
And look at that.
Nice.
That is a beautiful cut.
Nice.
And that's gonna heal very nicely.
We've done all we can do for today. It will take several more prunings to get this tree in its best shape, but we've made tremendous progress. So normally we want low branches to make it easy to get to the fruit, but in this case we're leaving high branches too, right?
We did, and really I'd love to take a lot of that height out of it, but the client here wanted to have privacy preserved from the people behind, and so we left things that normally we'd take out.
Okay, so since we don't have time today, why don't we clean up all the branches, let's disinfect our tools, and call it a day.
I'm all for it.
I bet you've worked really hard today. There's a lot to know about fruit trees. The investment of time and resources starts long before you bring a tree home from the nursery. Thanks to dedicated horticulturists and their creative breeding, we have choices for trees that are disease-resistant, easier to grow, and offer more delicious options than ever before. With proper care and a little love, this tree will produce for decades to come. From breeding to eating, these trees are the proverbial fruits of our labor. I'm Nan Sterman. See you next time on A Growing Passion.